Well, I finally arrived. I'm on the old Capitol grounds in Springfield, Illinois. Right behind me, immediately behind me, is where President Obama announced his campaign for president. And I really wanted to come here. And I looked at the president's speech this morning on YouTube just to remind myself of some of the things that he said when he announced for president, and I'm going to be going off some notes here. I wish I had a teleprompter, but I do not, and I wish I could get into the gate, but because I wanted to be, I wanted to be sitting right where the president was speaking, but in my rocket trike, but it's closed on Mondays, so I'm outside the fence, and that's fine. You can see the old Capitol building right behind me. And I just wanted to say a few things, and I wanted to make an appeal to the president, to President Obama. And I'm going to talk for a little bit here. I hope you'll bear with me. I watched that video this morning, and you were fired up. You talked about Lincoln calling on a house divided to unite, which he did in this building. He talked of common hopes and common dreams. And you said that there was a certain audacity to your announcement. And there was. And you did it, and I commend you. That was a very bold thing that you did, to run for president, and I honor your boldness. You said that the ways of Washington must change. You cited the moonshot program, and you said that it's time for our generation to answer the call. Quote, that it is our unyielding faith that in the face of impossible odds, people who love their country can change it. End quote. You spoke of Abraham Lincoln and how he moved a nation. You said, quote, through his will and words, he moved a nation and helped free a people. It's because of the millions who rallied to his cause that we're no longer divided. End quote. We are a divided nation today. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. But we don't have to be. What's happening is, in my opinion, the corporations who are running the show in Washington, D.C., they like things how they are. And they don't want change. We need change. We need real change. We're not getting it. I want to talk a little bit more about some of the other things you said, which were very stirring and moving. You said, quote, a dependence on oil that threatens our future. You cited that, end quote. And then you said, quote, what stopped us is the failure of leadership, the smallness of our politics, our chronic avoidance of tough decisions, end quote. You nailed it, Mr. President. That's it. Then you talked about the cynics, the lobbyists, the special interests who think they own this government. Right now they do. They do own this government. But you said we are here today to take it back. You said the time for that kind of politics is over. It is through. End quote. You said we can turn this crisis of global warming into a moment of opportunity for innovation and job creation and incentives for businesses that will serve as a model for the world. End quote. And I heard the crowd cheer you when you said that, Mr. President. You talked about how all of you running for president make grand speeches, and how too many times all of those promises fade from memory, and how the lobbyists and the special interests move in and the people turn away, disappointed as before, left to struggle on their own, and that it must be about us, that it's time for us to come together as a people. You asked us to push you forward when you were doing right, and to let you know when you were not. And I'm here to let you know that you need to do some things very differently than how you're doing them, Mr. President. I fear that you have been surrounded, you're surrounded by a lot of advisors who are spend too much time inside the Beltway and not enough time out on Main Street America talking to the people of this country, of this great country. And I have been pedaling my rocket trike, as I like to call it, from Boulder, Colorado to Washington, D.C. for the past month and more. I rode several hundred extra miles to come to Springfield to be at this very spot because I felt it was important to come here and remind you of how you inspired so many people with your words on that day that you announced for president, and to appeal to you to get back to that. I'm going to say a few more words and I want to wrap this up. I know it's been very long. You said, Mr. President, that you ran to transform a nation and that we need to make good, that it's time for our generation to make good on the debt we owe past and future generations. I could not agree more with that. That is incredibly profound and true. So my question is, what happened? You were fired up. The country was fired up. We were ready for real change. We've gotten incremental change. Your run for president was audacious. And you did it. I'm calling for an audacious goal for America. 100% renewable electricity grid by the year 2020, a green energy moonshot for our generation. I know that's audacious, but we can do it. This is America. In America, we do great things. So, I'm asking you, Mr. President, I'll be in D.C. in a few weeks. You obviously, I'd really like to sit down with you and the First Lady and talk with you about what I've learned from the American people that I've met on Main Street America as I pedal through this great country. And I'd like to share their hopes and dreams that they have conveyed to me and asked me to carry to you and to the leaders of Congress. And I'd like to talk to you about, it's your choice whether you want to meet with me or not. But I think I bring a perspective that your advisors cannot possibly bring you. Because I'm out here in touch with the people in ways that they're not. So that's what I want to share with you, and I can tell you, Mr. President, that the American people, regardless of political party, I've talked with conservative farmers, I've talked with liberal college students, I've talked with independents. People are they don't care anymore about political party. They know it's a big game. It's two parties, that are pretty much owned by corporations anyway. So you're not going to get change. if one party or another is in office, I mean, you're going to get change by having a president who's bold enough to lead this country into an exciting new era. And that's what I'm asking you to do. The stakes cannot be higher. We've got record unemployment.
Is this a car?
Is it a car? It's a bike. I call it a rocket trike.
Mom, so how can you move it?
Steer it like this.
Mom, look. I got this cool bike.
All right, well, we will continue this conversation hopefully in person. A lot.
Mom.
Costs about as much as a nice used car.
Mama. Look at this man's bike.
All right, well, thanks for hearing me out, President Obama.
Mom, look at that bike.
And hopefully we'll meet in person soon.